Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Podcast. This is Frank Lardino. We have a special guest today, one of my best friends of all time, John Billich. We're going to talk about golf today. We met on the golf course. We met on the golf team, we'll say, in high school. We've had some crazy-ass shit happen to us on the golf course. We're going to just tell some stories and have some fun today. So, John, in your memory, like, how did we meet? Like, what's your version of that?
Well, we met when I was a freshman in high school, and you were a sophomore. I think the golf team had already started practicing because I didn't sign up for the team until like the first day of school. That's when I first started golfing with the team. Was that first week of school. So
so how did you get into golf?
I just picked it up. You know, the old man golfed. Probably shot the same in the 70s as he does now in the 100s.
Yeah.
And I just, was swinging his clubs around as a kid, hitting the little plastic golf balls around and stuff around the backyard and everything. And then probably I was, the summer between 8th grade and freshman year, I started really getting into it. I played a lot of sports and everything.
You played baseball, obviously, basketball.
I played hockey, tennis. We played tennis together. We played, played everything together.
Yeah.
And
you get mad at me when I say, like, I talk about athletic skill and stuff, and I didn't have athletic skill. You had athletic skill. You did all that stuff. I mean, I played it, but
I can play things competently without much. Same way I learned how to play golf. I learned how to play golf watching TV. Saw a swing I liked. Let's give that a shot.
Nice.
So, then once I got to high school, you go to Morton, not a mecca for, for golf in high school, Illinois, right? I mean, we got a golf coach who can't break 100 on his best day.
Right.
So, the guy, he gave us good, book stuff information, but when it came time to like demonstrating a flop shot, not happening with that guy. Right. It was all, self-taught and everything, but, and I never ascribed to be, completely knowledgeable about the golf swing. I know enough to make myself maybe dangerous to other people, but.
You're dangerous to anybody around you at a golf course, but all right. So I started playing golf by hitting wiffle balls around the neighborhood. So on the Berwyn streets, on Grove, we would go, okay, Mr. Fox's tree is the first hole.
Same thing.
Yep. And the street was water, right? So if you you shanked one on the street, you had to take a penalty and stuff. Right. It was like crossing and then we would learn how to modify the wiffle balls. We'd stuff them with tape and tape them up, and you'd whack them, and they'd only good for so many whacks, and then like it worked against you, right?
Yeah.
But you had to play with the ball. And that's what happened to me. When I joined as a freshman, I never played. I might have been the absolute worst guy on the team, but because I'm a psychopath, as you know, I lived and breathed golf all summer long before sophomore year started.
You couldn't have been the worst. We had Bill Kovacic. No offense.
We'll get to him. Well, he didn't join the golf team until he was a junior.
Okay.
So anyway,
that must have been my freshman year. That was his first year.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And then I started number one sophomore year. Like, that's how much I improved.
Right.
So that's how I started. And so anyway, we'll get into some stories. Now, one of the first things I remember when I was a freshman, I remember playing with a couple of our varsity players, and our scores didn't count. So we would just go out after the top six. And they had this way of cheating. And tell me if you remember this. They'd be on the green and be like 20 feet from the hole, okay? And they would go to mark their ball, and they, instead of putting the mark down where the ball was, they just picked the ball up. So there was no mark there. And then they went like 10 feet closer to the hole, and they were pretending like to wipe debris out of the line. And then they dropped their mark there. They were like 10 feet off the putt, right? So, and then came the negotiation, right? Well, you got a 7, I got a 7. Let's just put a 5 on the card, right? And everybody went for that too. So I was horrified. Like, this is a varsity guy just showing me how to cheat. So you had the same experience, right?
Exactly.
You and I were talking about this the other day, and we were talking about our best shots. So one of my best shots, it might have been my best shot. I don't know how a shot could be better. I was playing golf with 2 buddies from the trading floor, Gib and Nitro. We call him Nitro because he was a big musclehead. This guy could hit a 4-iron like 275. And we always bet about everything on the trading floor. So he bet me a golf match. He said, I'll bet you, but you got to give me some handicap. I said, all right, I'll give you 15 shots and you can pick the course. Or I said, I'll give you 18 shots, but you have to carry your clubs and walk the course like me. Okay. He's a big muscular guy. He goes, I'll take the 18 shots. We bet dinner at Morton's. We go to his course. I think it's in Gurney. It's called Bonnie Bray. It was like 88 degrees and 100% humidity. It was so sticky. And this poor guy, he could barely make the course. I was going to kick his ass. It was certainty I was going to beat him. We got to a par 5. Now, the other guy had a cart, so he was playing up one side of par 5. I hit a drive right down the middle, and it was an uphill par 5, and I had about 275 left to the hole. All I could see the top of the stick, but I took a 7-degree driver out of my bag, which I made. I used to make clubs as a hobby, and I hit it off the turf, and I had a perfect rocket right up this, upgraded fairway, and it just kept rolling. And Gibb was already at the green. I'm watching it, and the ball disappeared over the hill, and Gibb starts screaming and drops to his knees. I go, what? And he goes like this. Well, that ball rimmed the cup and wound up behind the cup like 3 inches. That would have been a double eagle.
That's painful.
And when Nitro got up to the green, right? I think the eagle, I had him done by the 18 shots. And instead of looking at the putt, I looked at him and I knocked it in, and he took his whole set of clubs and he just threw it over onto the next tee. So that was my best shot, and it was perfect comical setting for that too,
Right.
So what about yours?
Well, I could go to the hole-in-one from a couple years ago because, obviously it's a perfect shot, right? I mean, it goes in the hole.
So frame that out real quick. I know you hit a 4-iron on that one.
So it was 206 yards. We're playing at Ravislow Country Club on the south side. It's the 7th hole. I'm actually playing pretty good this day, and hit the 4-iron. It was a little left of the hole, and caught the slope correct, just perfect. About 15 feet short of the hole, took a bounce, and rolled right in like it was a putt. And the beautiful thing is I got it on tape because this is, at that time, this was their hole-in-one hole where, a lot of courses, they'll give you, put in $10, $20, whatever, you can win 10,000, 20,000. And that was their hole. But this was in October, so they didn't have the hot chick selling tickets next to the tee. So they had a sign up in the clubhouse, which I didn't read or see. And I always get in those things, make the hole-in-one. We're going up to the green. The seventh green is right by the first tee. So the starter comes walking over. Hey, did somebody make a hole-in-one? No, I sunk it for a triple. And it's like, yeah, I made a hole-in-one. And he's like, oh, how much did you win? 10 or 20,000. And I looked at him, and he's like, didn't they say anything in the pro shop?
Because you had to buy
you had to buy
to get in.
Right. And they were selling the chances in the pro shop. And once we got done, I saw their signs up by the register, but I didn't see it at the time, I paid. So I was like, oh, I didn't get in. He's like, well, you split it with me, and I'll print you up a ticket right now. You just give me 10,000.
So he wanted 10 grand to print you up a ticket that would have been an after the fact ticket.
An after the fact, but he would have done whatever he did to say that I bought the chance, whatever. And I thought about it just real quickly, and I was like, nah, you know what? I don't think so. Keep your money. I'll just
you and I talked about that, and did you do the right thing? Yeah, karmically, you did the right thing. But that guy, you got to wonder, did he do that and have success at that? Did he make a lot of money? But because hole-in-ones obviously are rare, but
especially on a 206-yard hole.
Right.
My worry was that I thought about real quick was like, yeah, all I need is, 6 months down the road, these people come back and they say, hey, we, discovered, whatever, that you kind of cheated the system here. We need the money back because you didn't actually buy the ticket. So we need the money back. And I go to this guy, whoever he is, and say, hey, I need that 10 grand back. And he's going to be like, what 10 grand?
Right.
So I'm like, now I'm on the hook for another 10 grand that I don't have that I gave to this guy.
Yeah, you did the right thing. That's a really interesting story.
So, but I, and I was thinking about it after we were talking the other day. This goes back probably, must be 20 years. Because playing golf on a Father's Day with my dad and my nephew, one of my nephews. And we were playing at Fresh Meadows. And I was not playing well that day at all, but I come up to the 18th hole. Little dogleg left par 4 that I tried to cut the corner and just clipped the tree branch perfectly, and it kicked it straight down right next to a tree stump. But I got a shot for the green. I got about 160 yards, and I got 2 shots. One, I could just aim a little bit left and try to, bump one short left of the green. Or I got the other one, which is I'm going to hammer this into the bunker in front of the green, and it's going to go through the bunker, pop up, and land on the green. So you know me. Which one did I take?
Oh yeah, you're going to take the difficulty level 10 there.
So what makes it for me, why I feel like it's my greatest shot, is because I was riding in the cart with my nephew, and I turned to him and I said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 3-iron. I'm going to play it back in my stance. I'm going to keep it under the branch, and I'm going to pound the ball into the face of that bunker. It's going to pop up, and it's going to end up on the green." And he's like, whatever, 11 or 12 at the time. And he's like, okay, yeah, right. I do it. Absolutely everything.
And you called it, though. I mean, you called it.
That's why I call it, because I think of that stuff all the time when I hit some of the idiotic shots that I hit, but I don't call them out loud. You know what I mean? So this particular time, I just told him what I was going to do, and then I did it, and I got like a little proof master over here who can vouch for exactly what I was trying to do.
That actually is insane. Like that's not even a normal good shot. That's insanity.
That's why I call it my best, because I did exactly what I wanted to do.
And you got to have that Billich sick brain, right, to even create the shot in your head. Right.
Right.
Well, I'm going to bulldoze right through the bunker and make it pop up.
I remember the it was probably like one of the first times we played golf together after not having played golf for a number of years, and we're at COG number 1. And you know what I'm talking about already, but, we're on the 6th hole, the infamous hole, which we'll get to it a little later, the par 5. I got like 215 in for my second shot, and it's kind of playing a little bit into the wind. It's like a nice 4-iron at that time, and you're standing right next to me, and I'm like, or I could take the 5-wood out and try to hit a little butter cut into the wind and hold it there, instead of hitting just a straight up 4-iron and deal with whatever I got to deal with. So I take the 5-wood out and hit the shot, and hit it on the green. And, you just started laughing because that's how I play golf, and I shouldn't anymore. You know this, and I know this, but
guys, we have laughed at each other so much. He's just is insane. He's not a layup guy, and I'm not a layup guy either, but he's a little more Picasso-esque with some of his creations.
Look, I see a back left hole location over a bunker. Okay, I know that what I should do is hit a 7-iron into the middle of the green and take 2 putts from 35 feet. But I'm not going to hit that shot because it calls for a high draw over the bunker. Aim at the middle and hit it, hit a 15, 20-foot draw. So that's what I'm hitting.
That's right.
I shouldn't do it, and I know I shouldn't do it, but I have fun doing it.
If he's not shaping the shot, if there's no hitting the ball straight where, it's got to be a left to right to left. I'm going to play the ball a little back in my stance.
High, low, everything. It's just stupid.
This is like the game Twister when he's up there, lighting everything up. That's hilarious. We've had so much fun on the golf course. You had mentioned Billy Kovacic. So one of my best shots, which was a putt, was on Fresh Meadows. It was a par 5. I was on the front and 2. I might have not even been on the green. I might have been on the fringe. It was such a long green and undulating all over the place. And I couldn't even really see the hole. So my friend Billy was tending the stick. So I just smashed this putt, and it's going and rolling, and I'm walking to the hole because it's such a long putt, and it's tracking, right? And it's like 10 feet away, and Billy's looking at it with his eyes like this, like, oh my God. And I'm going, Bill, pull the stick. He's like, oh my God. Clink, right in the hole. And then he looks at me and goes, did you see that? Yeah, I saw you not doing that. 2-stroke penalty, right?
Right, exactly. I have, just real quick, I have, a 130-foot putt that I made. And we know it was 130 feet because my nephew Max zapped it with his rangefinder. And we were playing course number 2 at COG.
It's got to be that par 5 that has 2 tiers. Is that one or
yeah,
no?
It's that one. It's I think now it's the 11th hole.
But it used to be 9 though,
It used to be 9.
Finishes at the halfway house.
I went for the green in 2, and I didn't catch my second shot all that great, but I made the very front of the green. And the pin was in the back on the 3rd tier. And I was like, well, hope I get a par, because I'm like, this got 3-putt written all over it.
Oh, that'd be a good 3-putt, actually.
Right. So before I hit it, Max zaps it with his rangefinder, and he's like 43 yards. And I'm like, okay.
But that's not even that completely accurate, because that's 43 yards as the crow flies. Right? You're going up and
elevation,
up, like that. So
I played about 15 feet of break, right to left break, up the hill. I mean, I hit it. And immediately after I hit it, I said, oh, shit.
You thought it was long,
because
right?
I'm like, I've never had to hit a putt that hard ever in my life, and I thought I launched it. I started walking, but there's no way I could get there even close enough in time. And when it got over the second rise, my brother-in-law, Glenn, was like, oh, my God, this has a chance. Same thing. He's tending the flag, and he's watching it, and he tending the flag, and boom, goes in. Eagle.
Did he pull the stick, though, for you?
No, I didn't pull the stick. The beauty of that putt was the very next hole. It's that short par 4 over the ravine.
Yep.
Okay. I stuffed the second shot in there 7 feet away for birdie.
That's a tough green, though. If you're above the hole, especially.
Oh, yeah. And I was above the hole, so I got a 5.
You got a 5.
3-putted from 7.
Yeah, there you go.
Make 129-foot putt and then 3-putt from 7 feet. Oh, it's perfect.
We got to talk a little bit about our club throwing prowess.
Oh.
So I threw the discus in high school, and I don't think anyone could hang with me doing it a straight discus throw, because I would get, perfect launch angle
the helicopter.
With the club, perfect rotation, and then we would rate it. Right? Go, oh, that was that was a good one. But you had the ping putter, right?
Indestructible.
You would throw this thing. You could hit an Abrams tank.
Everything.
Yeah.
It hit everything. It was not as my 4-iron, unfortunately, which I think I had reshafted like 7 times one summer because that thing was evil.
But what about the karmic event? You make a hole in one with a 4-iron.
Right.
That's
exactly.
pretty wild, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because it certainly didn't treat me well. For one summer, that club is the most evil thing in my bag. It would not listen to anything you told it to do. Because that was if the wind was in the right direction, because we were playing Cog Hill a lot back then, on, was it the 9th hole, the par 3 on course number 3? Remember the ninth hole with that long, narrow green?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And if the wind was coming from the right direction, that was like a 4-iron shot, because that hole was 200 plus yards from the back tees where we were playing it. It just seemed like every time, hook left. I ended up left of that green like every time, and I just couldn't take it.
And isn't it funny? Like, you do it every time, and you get up to the tee, and you tell yourself, I've hooked left, pulled left every time. I'm not going to do it. And you set up whatever way you set up to completely avoid that, and the same damn thing happens.
So, There's this course out in Rockford when I lived out there. It's called Aldine. Really nice course. Park District course, but really nice. I would put it on the level of a Dubs as far as conditions and everything. Well-maintained, fast greens. They have the 7th hole is a par 3 island green. I've never hit the ball in the water there. 12th hole is a par 3, 8 iron, 7 iron, maybe, that has water well right of the green, not even in play. I think I've only not hit it into the water on that hole one time. Not hit it in the water. And it's not even in play. But it's the same thing. I do everything I can, to aim left, I'm do everything I can to try. I don't care. I don't want to hit in the water. In the water.
That's why the game it's so much mental. Like you can't get away from yourself. You can't get out of your head. It's like
I think that's why we love it.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely.
And you can't conquer it. I don't care who you are. I've never been a big Tiger Woods fan, but there's no denying that he's the second greatest golfer that's ever walked the face of the earth. But he certainly hit some struggles that weren't all, his actual physical problems related. He, struggle. Even the best.
Right. And I think some people will say he was the greatest golfer of all time, but you and I both know
that's
that
debatable.
Nicholas he's the man.
It's Jack, and it's because he's got 18 majors and 19 runners-up in the majors.
Yep. And
over
4 decades of winning, right? So now, thank you for bringing that up. The greatest sports moment in my life as a spectator, and I'm not a sports guy, but I watch golf, was what?
The 1986 Masters.
100%. I didn't miss a minute of that. It was surreal when he made that last putt with the plaid pants on, and he had that obnoxious putter that was like this freaking big, right? Mm-hmm. They couldn't even keep them damn things on the shelf after that.
It was like as big as one of the oversized drivers nowadays, That thing was way taller than the golf ball. I don't know how he even putted with it. Yeah. I think that was the first time he used it too.
That was that week. That was a highlight. So I got to tell you this story. I was at a practice round for the Western Open. So I was at Dubs. And I was with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, tall, blonde. She had a pretty sundress on. Just, career high day for her. Uh-huh. And we're out, on the tee box, around the tee box. And it's Hale Irwin, Raymond Floyd, and Greg Norman. And they're waiting to tee off because the group is in front of them. So we're just standing there and, Dorothy just looking around like this. And Hale Irwin, I'm looking at Hale Irwin, and he's just beaming at her, and he's giving her the up and down, right? And I kind of back off a little bit, and I look just to make sure, like it's everything's in alignment with her, right? So I whisper to her, I go, Hale Irwin's checking you out. So she looks at him, okay? And he turns around and he goes to the water cooler. And so his back's to us and he's filling up the little, conical cup with water. And he turns around right there and he crosses his arm like this and he's sipping the water and he's glaring at her. And now she knows. So she whispers in my ear, she goes, "Pervert." I go, "Do me a favor, just get me some free golf lessons out of it." She's
come on, sweetie, help me out here.
But those guys, they had their groupies.
Come on.
So
all of them. Jason Duffner, for God's sakes, had some model for a wife. Turns out she's sleeping with half the rest of the guys on tour behind his back.
I did not know that story.
I don't know how many it was, but I don't think it was just one. She was I'm sure since you don't really follow baseball, she was like Ryan Sandberg's wife back in the day, pretty much sleeping with the entire Chicago Cubs roster.
Wow.
So
crazy.
Yeah.
So now we'll talk about our annual Eagle contest every year. With who has the most Eagles. Now, in my mind, I think we tied pretty much almost every year. It just worked out that way.
Yeah, it was all until I moved to Arizona. Because I played a lot more golf than you were. So just by sheer rounds of golf, I would have had you beat. But typically, yeah. And you putted them in, and I didn't.
Right. That's what I'd always go. Yeah. Well, yours wasn't a real Eagle because you chipped one in, and I was actually on the green. We just talked about this at Glen Eagles. I believe you had a 4-iron in, and I had a 5-iron in. I was just a little further on down the fairway. I put mine on the green, and I walked you, and you fanned your forehand to the right. You were on the next tee of the par 3.
Yep.
So I'm on the green waiting. You hit this shot, and it went behind the tree. I saw it come over the tree, came down here, bounce, roll, dink, right in the hole, eagle. Drop my putter. I'm like, every freaking time.
that was something you could count on if I was gonna. I think probably for my life, at least over half of my eagles I've ever made have been from off the green, not putting.
That's a good skill to have. What was interesting for me is I always bought standard lie golf clubs off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of thin shots in my career, and I didn't understand that, I'm short and I hold my hands low. So a standard lie club would be sitting on the ground, like this. It
Right.
wouldn't even be flush with the ground.
You got the heel.
And so eventually in the 90s, I went over to Cog Hill and I had them professionally fit me for a set of pings. And I never hit the ball more flush after that,
Right.
So, and neither of us really had custom clubs.
No, but I was, once I got, reached my 5'11.5" I was a standard. I could buy standard off the shelf because I was pretty much who they were making standard golf clubs for. Now, as long as I got stiff shaft and, with the irons and like we were talking about yesterday, some of the shafts that we put in our drivers back in the day, the extra tour stiff titanium,
like
telephone pole,
like God would have to struggle to get enough club head speed to get the flex.
But we pounded that killer whale driver. We used to, because we each had one, and we used to pound that thing.
That was groundbreaking.
Because that was right after Daly won the PGA,
Right.
And then we both got the killer whale. And I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find two guys in a group that could out hit us.
I used to love
that weren't playing on TV on the weekends.
Yeah, so the Callaway had the Big Bertha, then had the Great Big Bertha.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that one when that one came out. That was sweet for me.
Even a couple of years ago, I bought a new driver and I got the Titleist TSI 3, and the Callaway was one of the ones that I tested when I went to get buy the club. And for me, the Titleist driver has always outperformed everything. And even with this, I think I was carried at like 15 yards further than the Callaway and the TaylorMade. I've always liked the Titleist.
Yeah, I haven't played in a while, but I think the Titleist is the driver I have in my bag now. I don't know which version of it is, but
that's probably pretty old. Because the TSI stuff, the one I got, is more like it's a deep face design, and it's not as shallow and it's not as wide from face to the back of the club. That's why I like it. It's as far as being the drivers of today, it's got more of a traditional look than the other drivers. Mm-hmm. That's why I like it too. Because I think, as stupid as it sounds, I think it means something to like what you're looking at when you're standing over the golf ball. So I like how it looks.
All right. So the most insane club, we're talking about insane shafts and stuff, is there used to be a golf club maker on Route 83. It's still, it's a business now where they make clubs, but it was an older gentleman named Everett. And I went in there and I go, I want an obscene driver, as little loft as possible. I want a, whatever the amount, like a 42-inch shaft. It's ridiculous. So we put this driver together. The head is called a Zyder, and it was a 4-degree loft. The shaft was some ungodly material, and it was like extra long, like, really far away from the ball. I could never hit the thing. I could never hit a good straight shot, but I would hit 300-yard worm burners. I mean, they literally rolled that far. Very low control. So I'm playing in this charitable scramble with some floor guys, and the first hole's a par 5. So we had at least one good long drive in play. So I took the Zyder out. And I just faded it a little bit into this fescue. But what I didn't know is the cart path wound through the fescue. Okay. And the hole dogleg to the right, and I hit the ball off to the right. and the ball just started skipping. Skip.
On the cart
skip,
path.
Skip. We didn't know where it was because, the hole went kind of downhill. I was pin high on a 500 and something yard hole from the, and we used that drive and we parred the hole. We chili dipped, and we got out of 2-putted. It was hilarious.
How many man scramble?
All 4.
So 4 guys. You were pin high on the tee shot on a par 5, and you didn't make birdie?
Yeah, we parred with a 500-yard drive. So,
I don't know if I tell this story, Frank.
Well, but I have a counter story for you, and this is the best scramble that I ever participated in. It was a 2-day scramble, the Illinois State Scramble,
which we used to play in
Village
Village
Greens in Woodridge. This event was attracted club professionals and really good golfers. I never did very well. Well, this year I was playing with one of my clients, Timmy Morgan. Timmy Morgan was in his early 20s. I was in my late 30s at the time. Pretty good handicap for me at the time. I was maybe playing a 5, and Timmy was a 3. And completely different games. He hit all of his shots, low boring shots, like boring into the wind, and I, me hitting the high trajectory shots. So we came out on day 1 and we shot 4 under, which barely put us in the middle of the pack. These guys were like crazy good golfers,
but not one of the last.
Well,
tee
I would
times.
say,
I mean, not one of the first tee times.
So the next day, we're starting out earlier because we were, a little bit below the halfway point in the pack, and we just start bombing every single putt, just ridiculous. He'd make one, I'd make one, he'd make one, I'd make one, and we got to the 9th hole, and that green is really tricky. It's like if you're above the hole, it's really tricky. Yeah. So they had it in a real tough pin position, and we were on in 2. But it was like on a bowl. So I putted first, and the ball went like almost off the green. So Timmy had to like putt real timid, and our putt for par was equally harrowing, and he made the putt. And he's like, we had 8 birdies on that front 9 and that 1 par. Tore it up. 8 under par for 9 holes. That's for insane. 2 men.
Yeah.
Now, when we were on that 9th tee, that backs up to the driving range. Yeah. And the leaders were hitting balls on the driving range. They hadn't teed off yet. And the guys we were playing with knew them. And they yelled over them. They go, hey, these guys are -8 right now. Like to give them shit, Right. And so we didn't keep that heat going. And by the time we finished -10. So we didn't do anything on the back 9. -2 was just okay. And we waited till that last group came in because we were still in contention. And they tossed up an eagle on the last hole to give them 1 shot ahead of us.
Oh, they made an eagle on 18
they made an eagle on 18 to beat us by 1. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
So, but 10 under for a 2-man scramble, that's pretty freaking good.
Non-professionals? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's some shooting right there for sure. I mean, but I think when we were playing, the best we shot was probably like a 70, maybe a 69.
Well, did you ever notice on that weekend? It's that last weekend in April. The weather always sucked
back then,
and it still does. Like I pay attention to that every last weekend of April. It's rainy, windy, cold, some unseasonable weather. It's always bad on that weekend. It just the way it turns out.
Global warming. Global non-warming, maybe.
All right, so what's your best round?
My best round?
Yeah, not a scramble, but your best round.
My best solo round? 67. I shot in a tournament.
But is that your best round, or is your lowest round?
That's both.
Yeah.
That's both. And it started off very poorly, because after... I shot 9 under for the last 11 holes.
Wow.
Which tells you how poorly I was.
That's crazy.
Playing. So
that's Tour Pro right there, right?
Oh, it was unbelievable. Coming up to the 8th hole, which was a dogleg right par 4, I just walked off the 7th green, which was a 9-iron par 3 that I made a bogey on. So to put me at 4 over par after 7 holes. So things are not going good. So I smoked my drive, but I hit it perfectly straight right through the fairway and ended up right next to a tree. The tree's on my left side, so I got no shot right-handed. I only got 100 yards in for my second shot, but I can't do anything. So I bring out the old Ping Answer 3. I think I was a Ping Answer 3 or 4 putter that I had. Turned it around, swung left-handed at it because it had the scoop on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Made perfect contact with it, up in the air, on the green, 5 feet away, bam, birdie. And then from there...
That was from 100 out?
100 yards out.
That's insane.
I was just goofing around.
That's got to be one of your better shots.
I was just goofing around, though. But it wasn't like, certainly I've tried hitting left-handed shots, and I can hit left-handed shots, but I was just like, oh, this makes perfect sense, right? Why wouldn't I end up right next to this tree when I'm ready 4 over, playing like crap? Went right on the green, 5 feet away, made the putt, birdied 9, which was a par 5, birdied 10, which was a par 4, birdied 11, which was a par 4, parred a par 3, went for, tried to cut a corner on par 5.
How unlike you.
Exactly. Same thing, clipped a tree, smoked a 5-iron from like 225 with a 40-yard hook on it coming out of the trees that just, because this was in Arizona and it's in wintertime, so the fairways are firm and fast because this place didn't reseed their fairways with anything. So that Bermuda goes dormant in the wintertime and it just, boom, ball hit the fairway, just rolled like 50 yards onto the green, sank the eagle putt, made another eagle on 18 because I was standing on 18 and I hit a perfect drive right in the middle of the fairway. I had 240 in. So I had my 1-iron out, and I'm thinking to myself, now all I need to do is par 18, and I shoot 69 in a tournament, which at that time would have been my best tournament round ever. So there's water on the left of the green, so favored the right side and kind of flared it a little, and I put it in the green side bunker in 2. Popped it out up on the green, roll, right in the hole for eagle in 67. So that was.
Now, if that ball didn't go in the hole, would it have stayed close or would it have?
Oh yeah. Because it was a good bunker shot.
We screw ourselves how many times in our career by going from offensive golf to defensive golf because you said to yourself, all I need is a par.
Right.
Or previous to that, you're attack.
Right.
There's no and as soon as we shift gears into that defensive golf, it's not good for us.
I don't think it's good for anybody. When you play not to lose, no matter what you're doing, I don't care if it's sports, whatever. When you do whatever you're doing not to lose, that ain't the same as playing to win, right? That's a whole different mentality.
Right, and it does work for people. I mean. It does work, like with boxing, for instance. The guy could be way ahead and just stay away from him and whatever. Not Rocky Balboa, because I got to go out the way I got to go out. Okay, Pop, go do it, But
or Maverick.
Yeah, or Maverick. So the reason why I said, is that your best round or your best score is because my best round was an 80. An 80, it wasn't my best score, but that was at Harborside. And Harborside's always windy, as you know, but this was an extra windy day. It was one of those days where when you walked by the bunker,
sand was picking up in your eyes.
You got sandblasted.
Yeah.
And it was so freaking windy. And I was playing the gold tees. I think a couple of the guys in my group weren't. And I just shot an 80. And I walked off the course. I'm like, I think that's the best round I've ever played. Just fighting the elements. And,
right.
An 80 would have been a good round. It would have been a really good round without the wind.
Right.
With the wind was spectacular.
Yeah.
And then I hit a good 9 on, I can't even believe I can't remember it, Oak Brook Municipal. I shot 4 under on the front 9, which is really good for me. I don't remember what I shot on the whole round, but it wasn't, I wasn't under par in the back 9. Let's put it that way.
I was, that day I shot 29 on the back 9.
That's insane.
38-29. How's that for?
That's insane. You could have put Tiger out there in his prime and likely he wouldn't have beat you on that 9 holes.
I was on fire. All of a sudden, I caught fire. Everything I was hitting was exactly where I was aiming it, the right distance, everything, and making the putts. I was always a good enough putter to putt most holes, but as I found when I was living in Arizona and playing against a lot of good players and a lot of good putters, and it goes back to what you're just talking about. There's a difference between a good putter who actually stands over a putt and thinks, I'm going to make this, and somebody like myself who more often than not thinks, I just hope I get this close enough so that the next putt is pretty short and easy for me to make. Yeah, you don't 3-putt a lot that way, but you don't make a lot either, because you're almost setting yourself up for accepting to fail.
All right. Well, we know that our mental game is not conducive to safe play, right? So
correct.
Let's tee off with an iron and go safe, and then we hit it out of bounds, and then we tell ourselves, well, I could have done that with a driver,
exactly,
right? So
exactly.
So we were our own worst enemies with that. Couple other funny stories here. There used to be a guy on the trading floor, Peter. He was a big dude. He played college football it was either U of I or Notre Dame. A superior athlete. This guy was like 275 pounds. He could do splits and everything. Like a tremendous athlete, super strong. But for some reason, he could not put that power into a golf swing. Like you would think he'd be smashing the ball. He may be 250 or whatever. Really bold personality. He'd huff and puff, and we're tough and all this. And he invited me to play golf one day at his club. We went to a Ridge Country Club. Yeah. It's on the south side, kind of small course. 2 other guys came and we played a scotch game. I think I was the best golfer there. And but what Peter would do is he'd, when a scotch game and you got a 10-footer and it doesn't count, you just go good. He picked the ball up, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end, this was Peter math. He's like, Joe, you shot 85. Brian, you shot 83. Frankie the Pump, you shot 78, and I shot 75. And I'm thinking to myself,
what?
Dude, I beat you by at least 10 shots.
Right.
Because those balls that he picked up, he was giving himself a 1-putt. Right. So we used to call it
birdie.
Pete math. So, he go golfing, and I waved to him across the pit the next day. I'm like, what'd you shoot? He's like, oh, I shot 75. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, it was like probably 89 is what you really shot.
Right.
Just such creative scorekeeping. And then my buddy Mario, we talked about Mario the other day. I met this guy at my first day at a job on the trading floor. Nice guy. We became really good friends. And he said, yeah, I shoot in the 90s and the 100s and play golf. So we went out to Meadowlark Golf Course for the first time, him and I playing together. And Meadowlark, there was always a long wait on the first tee because they didn't take tee times. He whiffed 13 times. 13 whiffs in a row, okay? Yeah. When he said he shoots 90s, 100s. He must have meant for 9, you know? And then another one of my buddies, I won't mention his name because he'll get mad at me. I met him in the weight room in high school, and we became like best friends, in high school. And he did say, I heard him talking. He's like, oh yeah, I shoot like 75 to 85, whatever. And I'm like, oh, you play golf? And, we started talking. One thing led to another. We become buddies. I've played 100 rounds with him. He's never shot between 75 and 85. Not one single time. So
I think I might know who you're talking about.
I remember love him to death, though.
Our good friend Mark from the golf team, who probably certainly never broke 45 ever for 9 holes.
Yeah, never.
For varsity events, only 6 guys' scores count, and then the other guys will get to play practice, by themselves. And the one day he happened to be out there by himself, and we get done, and we're in the bus, and hey, Mark, what'd you shoot? He's like, oh, you wouldn't believe it, how good I was hitting it. And I'm like, what'd you shoot? 36. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't believe you. You've never shot 36. Oh, it was awesome. It's like, dude, come on. You went out and played by yourself. Nobody around. I get it.
So that kid was funny because he and I were pretty good friends when we were like freshmen, and we'd go play tennis, and I used to kill him. I'd kill him in tennis, and I'm not a great tennis player, but so the next summer, like he had taken tennis lessons all throughout the year, private lessons, and he had a card. It's like, I'm nationally ranked, number 323rd or whatever the number was. He was nationally ranked, and he talked about tennis, whatever. And we went out by the high school to play tennis. I thought, well, the guy's probably gonna kick my ass,
right?
And he'd hit these little spinning drop shots, and he'd go spin, like he was telling me he was spinning it, right? And then I just hit a lob over his head, and I smoked him again. And it's like the same guy who said he shot 30-36 by himself, who probably never broke 45. People are funny. Like, how are they satisfied with knowing that they cheated? Or do they really convince themselves that they did shoot that and they feel good about it?
That's my question. I mean, you didn't shoot the score you said you shot. So how do you feel good about that? The way I play golf now, I don't care what I shoot. And that's like a legitimate thing. I don't care what I shoot because I still go out and play golf the way I want to play golf, which is like we talked about. I work like every shot, high, low, left, right, whatever. I don't care. That's how I want to play. I shouldn't do it. I hit 10 balls a week, warming up. That's my practice. Why try to hit those shots when you don't do anything to practice to hit those shots? Because you got to practice. But I don't care. I want to do it. I know how to do it. And once a round, twice a round, I pull them off and I hit the shot I want. And you know what? Once or twice a round, I feel great.
Now, see, you've hit a different level of awareness than I have, because I always want to score. The only way for me to play well is I have to practice. So if I don't make the time to go practice, then I don't want to play, because I go out there and I don't enjoy myself, right? But I should be able to just go out there and hit the ball and enjoy myself, right? Yeah. And tell stories like we're telling.
Right.
So I will, I'll get back into golf when, I make more time. I'm not going to say when I have the time. You always have the time if you make the time. But that's been my dilemma, is that, real estate got so busy, and I'd have the clubs in the car, always wanting to go hit a bucket at COG or whatever, and I was never able to do it. So I'm still a baby when it like.
I like playing with my brother-in-law, my nephew, my friends that join us when we play. It's more now for me. It's just more about getting out and enjoying the afternoon with people I enjoy spending time with.
Right. So now we have to circle back to. Do we want to say his name? I will leave it up to you. If not, we're playing
golf with our buddy John.
Okay.
This is when we had a permanent tee time at Cog Hill, and every once in a while John would fill in. So this was one of the weeks we needed a fourth, and he played. He's a 95 to 100 golfer typically. Always been pretty much the same. Every once in a while, he dips into the 80s and whatever. I don't think he's ever actually broken 80. I think he's been right on 80. But anyway. This particular day,
and then he's what, 6'3", 280. Well, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
Funny as hell. Like we're ball busting with the best of them.
Right.
So.
He fit right in with, of course, all your Merc buddies that did nothing but God forbid you hit a bad shot around one of those guys, and if you're weak minded, you're going to be in tears on the side of the green, because they're just going to hammer you. So we're on Cog Hill number 1. We're on the 6th hole. And he's actually even par through 5, which for him is really good. And he hits a second shot right in front of the green. Couldn't have been, he was within here to the street.
On a par 5.
On a par 5.
He's hit his
third
high
shot.
He's pin high in 2.
Yeah. And so I hit the green in 2. I had an eagle putt. Frank was on the green with already on the green with the birdie putt. We were both within 20 feet, so we both had pretty makeable putts, what we had. So we were walking. I'm walking on the right side of the green to put my club's down, and I hear the ping, which I know what that is. He just sculled the ball, and then the ball goes flying by me out of bounds into somebody's backyard. And the next thing I hear is him calling my name. Nickname's Jake. Jake, we got a problem. And I turn around, and he's holding he's got his golf towel on his leg, and he is bleeding severely out of his leg. I'm like, holy shit. And what he had done was he got pissed. He slammed his club into his pull cart. The club had wrapped around the axle or whatever that it connects to the wheel, wrapped around, cut off, tore off, shot up, cut his leg wide open. We're pretty far, and we're all walking. We don't have a cart. So
pretty much almost on the furthest point away from the clubhouse.
Pretty much. Right. Yeah. So it's, oh shit, so I go running up to the group in front of us. It was this older couple, and Frank went up there with me, and I'm like, hey, look, my buddy, he cut his leg open really bad. And the lady looks, and he's standing there with his blood-soaked towel, and it's not slowing down. Oh my God. Yeah, sure, you can use a cart. Who wants to drive? Now I got a putt for eagle to go to 4 under par. Frank's got a birdie putt to go to 2 under par. We kind of look at each other, moments hesitation, and she's like, oh, I'm not playing any good anyway. I'll just take him. And we look at each other, we're like, yeah, okay. So we load John up into the cart. She drives him back to the clubhouse and everything. And he ended up getting like 30 stitches on the outside of his leg and like 11 on the inside. And the doctor told him that he was within millimeters of cutting his femoral artery, which he would have bled out if he would have done that. So neither one of us made our putts either. So
yeah, and we obviously finished the round because we weren't going to walk off. Right, I mean, he'll be fine. They got He was in the hospital. They're taking care of him. How selfish is
this guy that he's ruining my round of golf? Right, he's trying to ruin 3 rounds of golf, his own and his 2 friends.
He's got 2 scars from that. 1 from the stitches, and 2 because his buddies have deserted him. Like
he reminds me of that every once in a while. He'll bring it up, which is pretty classic.
But we were young then, but now it's almost horrifying that he did that to the guy.
I mean, it's like it's if it wasn't so funny and he didn't end up okay, I'd love telling the story though, because it's how much we were into golf, right? We just there's my best friend from 7 years old that is bleeding out.
Like a Monty Python movie, right?
He's
spurting blood.
He's bleeding out, and I'm more worried about my eagle putt to go to 4 under par than I am about getting him to the hospital.
Oh my God!
So he's always been good natured about it in retrospect, which I enjoy, and I enjoy his little jabs, which he'll throw. Oh, what are you going to do? You going to leave me again over here?
Yeah, that's a lifetime of ball busting from that one event, and it's well deserved, right?
You think I don't laugh about that? It's funny.
This isn't a golf story, but it's a similar story. Me, Kevin, and Phil were training for the marathon. So we would run on the lakefront. Phil lived in Lincoln Park, so we go to his house, and then we'd park our car, and then we'd run to Fullerton Avenue Beach, which was about a mile from Phil's house, and then we'd run due south. And we had a map of the lakefront, so we knew where each landmark, what the mileage was, and we were doing like a 16-miler. So we would go, 8 miles out from Phil's house and then 8 miles back. So we knew where the halfway point was because we had a marathon map. And Phil was the worst runner of the 3 of us. Kevin was the best. I was right in the middle. So we're approaching the halfway point where we're going to stop, power up, some water and power bar, and then turn around. Well, Phil takes off. Like, look at me, and I used to call him Young Phil. I still call him Young Phil. I go, there goes Young Phil, right? He's in 3rd place of the 3 runners. He's going to show us. So he runs to the end, and we get to the end. We power up. We turn around. We start running. And right away, he's falling behind, right? So it's like, he's really struggling. It's like, all right, we wait for him. He catches up. So what's up? He goes, man, I feel like I burned out a lung. Maybe I have heat stroke or something because it was hot that day. He goes, you guys finish. I'll just lag behind and just wait for me. So we got to the end, not to his house, but to the end of where Fullerton Beach was. We waited for like 2 hours. And we knew everybody back in the day because, we worked on the floor. We kept seeing people. So our buddy Vince, he came on a bike. I go, how far did you go? So I was like 10 miles down. I go, did you see Phil anywhere? He's like, no. So we're like, well, maybe something happened to him. So we jogged back to his house, and there's a note on the door. His brother had left. Phil had a heart attack. We left the guy out there. He wound up collapsing underneath Navy Pier Bridge. He didn't have
not to laugh about that.
Yeah, no wallet or nothing. He just had running shoes and shorts on, no shirt or nothing, and I left him out there to die. So that's my story with him.
But he made it. He's okay
and
now.
People would say, you're the guy? You left Phil, him out there to die?
Phil, we love you.
I remember, this is just on the funny story thing. I don't like bugs. This was a cicada year. I don't know if I was playing with you or not, but it was the first tee on the red cog number 3. That's the one with the short par 4 that we always try to make, correct?
Yeah, cog number 3, the first hole.
Yeah. That we should never hit driver well.
Right.
So I'm standing on the tee, getting ready to tee off, and I got 3 buddies, and a cicada comes down, and it's buzzing right in front of me, and it's coming right at me. And I'm phobic about bugs. So I start backpedaling, and I'm swinging my iron like while backpedaling and, like trying to get away. And they're cracking up, right? These guys are cracking up. And I was so determined. And finally, I got it on the front swing. It took me like 8 swings. Whack! Hit it flush right on the screws, right? And the thing, and I'm like, yeah, I had to look, and they're cracking up. It's like, dude, it's a bug,
It's a bug. Hey, I'm the same way, with, especially with like bees, like get away.
Yeah. And what about like those, not the bees per se, we call them bees, but they're like those little asshole hornet type things. Oh, yeah. And they get inside your cans and stuff like that. You got to be careful. I
got a real funny story about that. So playing in one of my buddy's outings that he used to have back in the day, and playing with my old man and my buddy's brother and this other guy who used to be a pitcher on our softball team. And at this time I wasn't even quite 30 yet. So the guy that pitched on our softball team was pushing 50. Always a real sharp dresser. He comes on the course. He looks like he should be a good golfer. Everything matches, but the guy played like crap. So we get the ticket for the free hot dog and chips and drink at the turn. So we're standing there waiting to tee off on the 10th hole, and I had the Coke in my left hand, and I'm eating my hot dog, and unbeknownst to me, a bee flew into the can. I didn't know it, so I go take my drink, and the bee comes out into my mouth, and I feel it in my mouth. I'm like, I panicked and spit it all out. Well, right all over Tommy's little sassy golf outfit. I just destroyed his pastel outfit and everything. And he's like, "What the fuck, man?" And I'm like, "Sorry, dude, but I had a bee in my mouth."
Yeah, I'm panicking with that.
Sorry.
So
it was in my mouth. So I'm like, "Sorry, I ruined your sassy little outfit there, pal."
That's hilarious. Hopefully, this will be like when we're long gone, our kids and grandkids will watch the video and talk about how.
Well, there's so many other things we could talk about. But you only got an hour, right?
Well, so we'll make another video right after this one. But guys, kind of off the subject, golf is one of those games that you really learn about the makeup of a person. The guys who cheat and whatever, and all this is crazy stuff. But it really is a challenging game, and it's a joyful game. It's brought a lot of joy into my life and John's life, and kind of forged our friendship. So if you have a guy you've been playing golf with for the better part of your life, you're very fortunate. So that's a wrap for us today. Thank you for joining us on the Warrior Podcast. Today was a first. Today's the first time I had a guest. All my podcasts have been flying solo. So I want to thank my brother John here.
A lot of fun to be in here. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, tee 'em high and let 'em fly, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.